guys, welcome back. We have about a week left in July, and I wanted to try to record a vlog, but it has to be one that the TBR can be completed in a week. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to do my first episode of trying to get a bingo on my 25 in 2025 bingo board. So this is what the board looks like currently. So as you can see, out of those 25, I've only completed 5. And I'm 3 away a couple of different ways. So I decided to pick 3 books off of here to try to read in the next week, and we'll see how that goes. The first one that I chose is The Mirror of Her Dreams by Stephen R. Donaldson. This is one, it's a duology, and I actually read this when I was a teenager, and I remembered this book, and I didn't remember the name of it. And it took me forever to figure out what book it was. And then I finally found it at the used bookstore that I go to in Jacksonville. So I was able to find both of them. And I think I'm going to read the first one in this vlog. I also started this one with the kids today. We went to Dutch Bros and we listened to the audiobook in the car. So I'm about a quarter of the way through this. This is a middle grades book that I picked up a little while ago, and I'm enjoying it so far. And then I'm going to try to read When the Moon Hatched as well. So if I don't get to that one, or if I decide that I want to go ahead and jump into the second book of this, I'll do that instead. That book is on the bingo as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read all 3 of the books, and then I'm going to try at the end to see if I get a bingo, and we'll do that part on camera together. First up, Impossible Creatures. Like I said, me and the boys started this one in the car. This follows the story of 2 kids. One is Mal. She can fly. She has a magical cloak. I think that helps her to fly. She is part of this like magical land called the Archipelago that used to be part of our world, but now it's not. It's like hidden. And he comes from a line of guardians. His name is Christopher. He comes from a line of guardians that guard this like magical lake thing that you can, that's like a gateway between these 2 places. And in her world, the Archipelago, which is actually where the magic of our world went, I don't know, I may be like totally butchering this description of the book, but the magic is like dying. So the magical creatures are dying, the land itself seems to be dying, and then the magical water thing is dying as well. And so the way that these 2 meet, like he's in Scotland, and he is staying with his grandfather because his father had like something come up, and so he needed to stay with somebody, and his grandfather is like the only person available that he could stay with. So he ends up stumbling across this like body of water, and one day discovers a griffin in the water. At the same time, we're reading about the girl, and she is being stalked by this murderer. And then all of a sudden, the murderer kills her aunt, I think it was. She lives with like her elderly aunt. And anyways, it sends her into the water, into his world. And so now he is going to go back with her to try to help her escape this murderer that's after her, because the griffin can't stay in our world or it will die. So they have to go back. He's going to help her to get past the murder, and also he's going to help her to figure out what is happening to the magic. So like I said, I'm a quarter of the way through. So far it's pretty good. Now that we are home and I can actually read the physical book. I think I'll like it a little bit more. Because the audiobook, especially driving in ridiculous traffic, sometimes I was catching my attention drifting a little bit. But so far, like, they've seen a griffin, of course, but also unicorns, and unicorns are like my favorite magical creature, and so that was pretty fun to be able to read about that. So I'm going to read some more of this. I will probably finish this one today. And I started listening to this one yesterday. The only thing that I remembered about this book was this guy came through mirrors. And I might have only even remembered that because of the title. I do not remember anything so far that I have read at all. So she lives in our world. And he lives in like this fantasy world. And he is trying to go through the mirror to get a champion, I think. She is like the daughter of this rich man who has basically been neglected her whole life. Like, the money and things are supposed to make up for the fact that her family basically ignored her. And that's kind of how she feels. Like, she decorates her house. Her father got her an apartment, and she decorates the entire thing with mirrors. Not because she like wants to look at herself, but because like seeing herself in the mirrors lets her know that she is actually there and actually exists, because she feels so invisible. And it talks about how she thinks that sometimes she's just like fading away into nothing, and one day she'll just cease to exist. And then she has a dream where this man is trying to rescue her from these people that are trying to hurt her. And then when she wakes up, she feels different. And she starts hearing these like trumpet sounds. And so she's like going about her day. She goes to work. She's like a secretary for a mission. And while she's like doing her work, every now and then she's like hearing these trumpets. And when she does hear them, it's like the world becomes more real. Like, things become like clearer to her. It's like a fog or something is lifted. And so it's really interesting so far. I really like how this one started off. It was talking about how their story is like a fairy tale, because she's like the princess trapped in the tower, and he is like the seventh son of a seventh son or something like that. And their story is, you know, like a fairy tale, and it would be perfect, except it's not that simple, because her tower is a luxury condominium building. So I thought that was fun. I only made it through like chapter 1. However, I'm pretty sure that the dude's about to come through the mirror into her like house, even though that's not where he's supposed to go. And from there, I think things pick up, if I remember correctly, because it's like vaguely coming to me. I don't know. I do believe she goes back into his world. And then I think maybe in the second book, they come back into her world. I don't remember. I read this as a teenager when I was just getting into adult fantasy. And it's one of those that I can remember reading because I remembered the cover of the book with the mirrors. But I don't remember really and truly anything about it. So we will see if it was worth remembering. But regardless, this is the start to our bingo vlog. I'm sure I can finish this one today if I try. And then I'll let you know how it goes. And I'll check in if I think there's anything worth saying. I might check in at the halfway point with this one. If not, I'll see you when I get finished with it. Also, we're rebuilding our roof. And they poked a hole in the ceiling. Like, that could only happen to me. I'm telling you, that kind of thing could only happen to me, and it's right here in the library right over my reading chair. And it was an accident. I mean, it happens. They're gonna fix it, so it's not that big of a deal, but it's like, that could only happen to me.
Changing every day in every possible way, and all my dreams, it's never quite as it seems, never quite as it seems. I know I felt like this before, but now I'm feeling it even more, because it came from you.
Tell him how my book's going. Do you know how the book's going? This one? I'm telling him how it's going. Does it taste good? What you think? You like it? Okay, how about this one? I finished this one. You want to tell them about it? You like the books too, huh? Better not chew on it. You better not chew on it. You silly girl. Okay, come on. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. No, don't scratch your face. Hey, come here. Want to tell them hello? Want to say hello? So, update. I am about maybe a quarter of the way through this. I've been listening to the audiobook while I crochet, because I've got to finish this blanket. And it's actually pretty easy to follow, even when I have to count stitches. So, that's nice. So, in this book, they use mirrors to either go to places or to bring things to them. It's called translating. And in the beginning of the book, what's the guy's name? Garrison. Yeah, Garrison. Translates himself into Teresa's apartment. He's trying to find a champion because there's like things going on. The kingdom is in danger and they're looking for a champion. And he goes to her apartment by mistake, but he just has this feeling like she's important. So he brings her back. Like, he convinces her to come back. And then, of course, now she is in this, like, magical place where, you know, this magic of translation exists, and she's from our world. So she's trying to navigate that. And the people there go back and forth between thinking that she is important, like maybe she's an Imager herself. I think it's Imager. That's the people that make the mirrors. So they either think that she has the power herself, or they think that she is like made up, because there's this argument about whether or not the things in the mirrors actually exist and they're going to them, or if they're like made up when they make the mirrors. So she's kind of in a limbo type situation right now, because they don't really trust her, so they're not really wanting to tell her things, but also they think that she could be important, so they're not wanting to like mistreat her either. And a man broke into her room and tried to kill her, and so that just happened. And so now again they think that either she's like some kind of spy or something, like he was breaking in to meet with her or something, or, you know, because she ended up being able to get away, and she says that she has no like powers or anything like that, and this guy got past like 2 guards. So anywho, that is where I am now. Slowly you're getting little bits and pieces of like background information about this place. I definitely don't remember any of it. So I think that's like crazy because like I tend to remember books, even if it takes me a while. Like I have read a book or two, usually like a romance book that I have read before, and it takes something happening in the book for me to be like, oh my gosh, I've read this before. But I know I've read this before and I don't remember it. The characters right now are not, they're not my favorite. However, I don't like hate them or anything. So you have Teresa, and Teresa is dealing with the trauma that comes from being a neglected child. Her father was well-to-do and neglected her mother, but her mother and her father neglected her. And so she has these times where she feels like she's not even real, like she feels like she could just disappear, like she's not even there. And that comes from, you know, trauma from her childhood. Then you have Garrison, who is just like this clumsy, shy, insecure person. And you know, like modern fantasy today, like the male main characters are like the complete opposite of that. And so that's kind of interesting to read where they both are timid, and they're both like capable of more, you know. So anyways, that is where I am now. Like I said, I'm about a quarter of the way through it. I think the audiobook said there's like 8 hours left or so. So I don't know if I'll finish it today. We do have some stuff that we need to do. If I get a bingo, then I'll take you with me to Dutch Bros this weekend. So, anywho, I am going to crochet and listen to this some more, and I think that's helping me to get through it a little bit faster because I can't help but pay attention to it because I'm like forced to sit here and listen to it. It is so weird the way that my brain works. Like, if I'm just sitting here reading, then I'm so much more likely to be distracted. But if I'm sitting here listening to a book and doing something with my hands, like crocheting or putting together a puzzle or something like that, like I'm gonna focus better. Okay, so it's been a few days now and I haven't really updated you. I am, let's see, I'm a little bit actually further than what I am in there, so a little over halfway through. And oh my gosh, I like the story, but I must have just totally erased what happened in this book from my memory banks. Like, okay, so when she first gets to this place, she gets translated. One of the masters there, his name is Aramis. From the beginning, he pretty much is just like making advances on Teresa. And of course she is like, oh, nobody's ever shown interest in me, I'm invisible, yada yada yada, right? And so she doesn't really understand at first, I guess. And then she is like curious, and so she's like basically letting him sexually harass her, like he's touching her and stuff without her permission. And then it's like she eventually just like lets him, even though she never expressly says, yes, I want to do this. It's weird. But the fact that this girl is like letting this man manipulate her is driving me nuts. And like, he reminds her a lot of her father in the fact that he like has these like mood swings and he like controls them, but she can tell he's just like, he's really angry or whatever, because that's the way that her father was. And I'm like, so then why are you listening to him and not listening to Garrison, who, like, worships the ground that you walk on? Like, and everybody likes him, even though he's clumsy and he hasn't become a master, even though he's been an apt for, like, 10 years. Like, everybody likes him and trusts him. So, like, why are you not trusting him? Why are you trusting this, like, obviously super shady guy? And then also, like, they're going around and everybody's just, like, openly insinuating that, you know, talking about them being together. And she doesn't say a word. She doesn't say a word. It's just... So, like, in a way, like, the characters are starting to feel a little flat. Like, Garrison is not... Well, I can't say he's not ever. Like, there are times where he does get some gumption to him, and he does and says things. Like, whenever the guy tried to arrest Teresa, he went and, you know, went to the king and got it stopped or whatever. But, like, he's still, like, super shy, and, you know, like, it's like, come on, just grow a set, dude. And then also, she's falling very flat because it's like, again, I can't say that she's not growing, because, like, she is having moments where she's like, she couldn't believe that she was about to argue with him or whatever, because she's always just been so timid and has learned, like, she can't stand up for herself, because if she ever stood up for herself, she would be punished. Anyways, I am enjoying the story, because there are so many secrets and there's so many pieces that are moving at the time. And it's really funny because, like, the king is acting like he's senile, and he is, like, obsessed with this game that they call Hot Stones, but it's checkers. Teresa says that it's checkers from our world. And, like, at one point, her and the king are talking, and they're basically, like, playing checkers, but verbally, like, asking each other questions. And they come to a stalemate, and he had been talking about, like, him and the adept who's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They were talking about a way to get out of a stalemate. And so there was just, like, some parallel there. Like, he's treating everything like it's this big game of strategy. And you can kind of see that it's kind of mimicked in the story threads that are going along, and who has secrets from who or whatever. There's so many of these, like, storylines that are going on. So it is interesting. And I do know why I read it, and it stuck with me enough that I remembered reading it. But I definitely did not catch on to the nuances of the, like, harassment and stuff that she's going through. I find myself, like, rolling my eyes a lot. And, like, just, stupid, don't do that. I think the plan will be to finish When the Moon Hatched. And then that means that on Friday, which will be the 1st. So either on Friday or this weekend, if I make a bingo, I'll take you with me to Dutch Bros, and I'll show you what I got. If I didn't get a bingo, then I don't know, it's going to be an anticlimactic ending, I guess. We can pick out my TBR for the next episode if I don't make a bingo, but hopefully I will. Hopefully. Here, I'm going to prop you up on my Dr. Pepper real quick. Okay. Don't let me down, Dr. Pepper. It hasn't yet. Okay. So, what I did was I printed out the graph. I am on row 96. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I think I just did 96. I haven't marked it off on here, but I think I did row 96. This is how I was doing it before. So I was counting. But because I'm just, like, listening and crocheting at the same time, I'm trying to not count. And so if I do it this way, I can just look, like, relative, like, okay, I need to go over one more, or I need to go 2 less, or, you know, whatever, before I switch colors, if that makes sense. It might not too, and you might not care. But anyways, here's what it's looking like so far. So we've got get the wing leader in the bottom part of a wing, and a foot, the bottom part of the other foot, and the tail. So it's looking a long ways to go. The next time that I decide that I'm gonna like try to take the easy way out, and instead of making bobbins for all of these, I'm just gonna do this. You'll slap some sense into me. I have until the 24th, but I definitely want to have time to get that backing put on there and block it into shape, because the way that I did this, going like just doing front side only and cutting off when I went to a new color, means that it is very much slanted, because a single crochet stitch like this doesn't stack straight like knitting. It ends up kind of going in a slant. It's easier to see to me on this side. You see how they're slanted, they're not like perfectly straight up and down. And of course that means that your work ends up on that slant. So yeah, I've got to block it and make sure that it straightens out, because I've got to take pictures and send the pictures to her for her like listings and things like that when she lists the patterns. Last time my picture was the one she chose for her Etsy listing. But anywho,
Then I open up and see the person falling here is me. A different way to be.
so I'm done. She finally realized that the master guy, the cringy guy, was bad news. But he and Garrison both accused each other of being the traitor. And then something happened. Somebody got killed. They think Garrison did it. And so he runs away and they corner him. And so he goes through a mirror. The end. Now, I kind of want to read the second book. So I can either read the second book, which is also on the bingo card, or I can read When the Moon Hatched. I don't know. Right now I'm going to go to bed and think about it, and I'll let you know in the morning what I decide. Okay, so I decided that I am going to read the second book in this series. So, sorry, Amy, I will have to put off When the Moon Hatched again, but I am going to read it soon. So, since I was already on a roll with the story, and this one it picks up right where the other one left off. It literally, the first book is part 1 and part 2, and this picks off with part 3. Even the chapters, I don't know if at one point in time this was one book, because it does say volume 1 and volume 2, so I don't know. At one time it might have just been one book. I don't know. Anywho, so although I was frustrated with the speed of development of the main characters in the first one, they eventually got there. He stood up for himself. He had to go in front of the Congaree and try to prove his innocence. Of course, something happened that he ended up having to run away, but he did get there. at the beginning-ish of this one, the castle is under siege, and Teresa is in jail because they think that she helped him escape. But she did finally tell off the Aramis guy, the cringy guy that was all like, "You'll never be able to forget me now that I've had my hands on you." Please. Anyways, she finally told him to pound sand. It's finally getting to where you feel like you're getting a little bit of payoff. It, like, in the beginning of the first book, she did seem very juvenile, very docile, like almost like a caricature a little bit. But then again, like, you have to remember that it's 80s fantasy and the genre has developed a lot since then. Especially getting more women authors and the getting out of those kind of stereotypical roles that the characters had in 80s fantasy. Anyways, I was listening to it while I was like cleaning and stuff today. I still didn't get very far, but I'm pretty sure she is about to try to go through the mirror, and I don't know if I'm gonna find out if I remember correctly that they go back to her world or not, or if they, I don't know. We're about to find out. So I'm gonna read it for just a little while longer before I go to bed, but I've got to try to finish it tomorrow, which is quite possible with the audiobook on 2.5 speed. I think I might be at like 8 hours, which seems like a lot, but obviously it's possible within a day. I'll just have to do like nothing else. But that's fine. This one is just a very easy listen. Because, you know, like some audiobooks, they have parts where they speak a little faster or whatever, and then the speed that I listen to it on, I already listened to it sped up, so it'll be like and I have hearing problems anyways, which listening to audiobooks is probably not helping, because I don't listen to it at a low volume, especially if I'm worried I'm gonna miss something. I think that if it's louder, I can pay attention better. I don't know. I didn't get too much further in my blanket, a couple more rows. I think I'm at I think I finally made it to row 100. So I'm getting there. We will try to finish this tomorrow and then see if we get a bingo. So I'm about halfway through. I'm gonna stay up tonight and finish it, but Teresa and Garrett are finally together. It only took them a book and a fourth to get there. I was wrong about them going back to her world, at least for the time being. What happened was they went to where Garrett was from. That's where he went, and then of course she was in the dungeons, but she got help to escape, and so she went after him because you can't translate yourself to another place in their own world, except Garrett and Teresa can. Shocker. They translated themselves to where he was from. She met his family and everything, and then it was attacked because they assumed that that's where they went. And then from there they started traveling back to the castle, and so they passed some of the different cares along the way, and things are being translated there, like ghouls, a fire cat was there, like big wolf things, a and they've had to fight these things along the way to get back. So anyways, like I said, I'm gonna stay up tonight to finish this, and then tomorrow, which is technically the first day of August, but it is Friday, so after I do finish this tonight, tomorrow we will look at my bingo card together and see if we got a bingo.
To ignore, impossible to ignore, and they'll come true. Impossible not to do, possible not to do. And now I tell you openly, you have my heart, so don't hurt me. You're what I couldn't.
Okay, so it is time to see if we have a bingo moment of truth. All right, so first I read Impossible Creatures. So that was B3. That was a good place to put one, because that's one of the ways that I could get a bingo. So there. Okay, then we read The Mirror of Her Dreams, which is here, and that is O2. Okay, and even though it looks like we're not gonna get a bingo this time, let's see how close we can get for next time. So A Man Rides Through, G5. So that one is gonna go down here. Okay, so I did not earn a Dutch Bros yet. However, Wednesday is sticker day and I'm going anyways, so it's all good. So let's go see if we can find 3 more for next month's episode of bingo. Okay, so final update on how far I got in my blanket. I am about halfway. As you saw, we did not get a bingo, but I did decide on what books I want to try for next month. If I do 3 or 4 a month between now and the end of the year, I will be able to get all 25. I put a lot of big books on my 25 and 25 bingo, but they were books that have been sitting on my shelf that I wanted to push myself to finish, and so they're still there. I did decide that if I am reading a book and not enjoying it, which wasn't an issue with the episode this time, but if I get to one and I end up not enjoying it, I am going to let myself replace it. But that means that I have to unhaul that book at the end of the year. So if it's something that I'm not interested in, I don't need to keep it. That's my thought process here. And I will then replace it with a different book that is sitting on my physical TBR. So anyways, here are the books that I'm going to shoot for next episode, which will be sometime in the month of August. I'm going to read When the Moon Hatched, hopefully. I reserve the right to change my mind on any of these. Throne of the Fallen. One that I've had for quite a long time is the Ichabod. I don't mind reading like middle grades and kids books. I like finding ones that I think my kids will enjoy. I like finding ones that we can read together. So I am going to try to read this one. And then another one that has been on my TBR for way too long is The Raven Boys. So I only physically have book 1 and 2, and I did put both of those on my 25 and 25. And so if I read those two and I'm not feeling it, I just won't continue in the series. But I have heard great things. I'm assuming that I am going to finish. That is the book bingo TBR for next episode. So I have a spot now to keep incoming books and also like little curated TBRs for videos. So I'm gonna put those aside for that. I'm liking building myself TBRs for video ideas because it takes away a little bit of that decision paralysis that you can have sometimes when you have too many choices and you don't know which one to pick. Having these little curated TBRs helps because even if I end up moving a video concept or changing the books in it or adding to it or whatever, like I already have that list of books that I know that I'm going to read. And so it kind of takes a little bit of that, what am I going to read next, pressure away, because I want to read them all next. So I hope you enjoyed this first episode of 25 and 25 TBR book bingo. I'll work on the name, but I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did and you want to know when the next episode comes out, make sure you're subscribed. And that is it for now, and I will see you again soon. Bye.
I talk too